listening to another edition of The Mineral Way with pharmacist Ben Fuchs and Dave Michaels. This is episode 3, and we are glad you could join us. We're going to be talking about a few things tonight, a few things that you might want to pay attention to, because this stuff is very valuable information, whether you're just someone who's into it for better health, you want to help people around you, or maybe you're seeking help for health conditions yourself. This is a great show to pay attention to. So be sure to tell your friends that we have all this valuable information on a podcast called The Mineral Way with pharmacists Ben Fuchs and Dave Michaels. You can catch it on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all kinds of places where you can catch The Mineral Way. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you for joining us here, and I look forward to this every Monday. I
get excited too. You know, you're quite the radio host, Dave Michaels.
Oh, get out of here, Dave.
You got some skills.
Get out of here, Dave.
Too bad radio's dead, but that's okay.
That's way to go, Ben. Way to go. Well, this is podcast, Ben. This is
better. Yes,
yeah, this is nice. So if anybody has any phone calls, Ben, this is going to sound weird for a podcast, but you can call us live on Monday evenings, because that's when, for the most part, we record on Monday evenings. 831-479-1080 if you have a question. You can also text it to 218-5726, 831 area code, or go to davemichaels.com and you can send your questions there. So, Ben Fuchs, I have a few questions from the audience before we get into the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. One of them is about low blood pressure. This was, somebody asked me this at the Dave Cave. That's my office. That's where I sell my longevity products and help all kinds of people. It's called the Dave Cave. So I've got one question from a customer in the Dave Cave. Another one online here. He's on the phone line right here. His name is Paul in Wisconsin. His question is about eyesight. Ben, I think we should go with a phone call, and then we will get into low blood pressure, and then finally the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, because we want to try to keep this to a half hour.
Okay, now when you say eyesight, do you mean eye health or actually the sight? Because they're a little bit different.
Well, let's ask him.
Oh, he's right here.
Yeah,
okay.
Paul in Wisconsin, are you there?
Wisconsin?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, yeah. Paul. Did you listen to me on Meg Ellefson? I think she said Meg Ellefson show?
No, I've heard you on Coast to Coast with George Norrie in the past. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, you sound like you're from Wisconsin, that's for sure. I'm sorry to hear about your Packers, but next year, there's always next year.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
All right. So what's going on? How can we help you? Is it eyesight or eye tissue or eye disease?
A number of years ago, I lost my eyesight, and listening to you and Dr. Joel Wallach, like I said, on Coast to Coast and on KSCO, I believe good possibility osteoporosis of the skull.
Ah, okay, gotcha. So you say you lost your eyesight and you're blind, or you just had poor eyesight?
Well, my right eye glaucoma, my left eye, I had a cataract removal, which led to a retina detachment, so doctors had to reattach the left retina.
Okay.
But after a number of laser treatments at the Eye Institute of Wisconsin, those did not help at all.
Okay. Well, we can help you with nutrition, and we can also help you with the nutrition in terms of what you put in your system and what you don't put in your system. And that's true about a lot of health challenges. Good stuff in, bad stuff out. Really simple. I mean, that sounds simplistic, but it's not simple. It's simplistic, but it's not dumb. It's really logical. So number one, glaucoma is caused by damage to the valves that open up to let fluid out of the eye. When the valves become damaged, the fluid builds up in the eye, and it can be a serious problem. It can lead to blindness. It is linked to one of the most important causes of all health challenges. You've heard me speak before, and that's something called metabolic syndrome, which is blood sugar problems, diabetes. Most people who have glaucoma also have blood sugar problems. In fact, I'd venture to say nearly all people who have glaucoma have blood sugar problems. That's number one. The second issue that you talked about or that you mentioned was cataracts. Guess what? Cataracts are also related to blood sugar problems. Cataracts are like cracks in your windshield. You have a lens on the eye gets cracked due to damage, largely from a lot of different things, but largely from sugar, and that's a process that's called glycation. So if you want to simplify everything, my friend, deal with blood sugar. I'm guessing from the sound of your voice, you're 70 or so, or in your 70s or late 60s, am I correct?
62.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. All right. So you're a little younger than that. That's good. So what you want to do is you want to focus on blood sugar. When you're in your 60s or 70s, it's almost impossible to live the standard American diet, or should I say even the standard Wisconsin diet, unfortunately,
Right.
and not have some blood sugar issues. I'd be on the healthy blood sugar pack as soon as possible, everybody listening. If you're dealing with cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, or if you just want to have good, healthy eye tissue, please, please, please understand the link between what's called metabolic syndrome, which is blood sugar issues, and eye health. And I'll tell you a couple other things here in a second, but right from the get-go, get on the healthy blood sugar pack, and guess what? You'll improve cardiovascular health. And by the way, I was just reading today how doctors are using, guess what? Diabetes medicine to treat cardiovascular disease and to, in addition to cardiovascular disease, to treat kidney stones. And I've been talking for years about the relationship between cardiovascular disease and between diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and diabetes and kidney disease. I'm not the only one, of course. Now the medical model is catching on to the very important relationship between blood sugar problems and chronic disease, in your case, eye health. So treat yourself like a diabetic, even if you haven't been diagnosed as one. You'll add years to your life. You'll improve cardiovascular health, circulatory health, kidney health, bone health, brain health, and of course you'll also improve eye health. Then pigments are very, very, very important for the eyes. Pigments help absorb light energy, and pigments are stored in the eyes. Without pigments, light energy can become very damaging to eye tissue, and so pigments, which mean colors, from veggies and from fruits are very, very important. And you can get on these, you can get pigments in your diet through eating fruits and vegetables. If you're eating fruits and vegetables to get pigments, you want to make sure that you're mixing a little fat, or butter, or coconut oil with your vegetables. And that will release some of those pigments and make it easier for your body to absorb them. And then also using specific antioxidants for the eyes. Some of them are related to pigments, things like zeaxanthin, you may have heard of this, or carotenes. You'll find those in the Vision FX product from Youngevity. You'll also find them in a pigment product that we have at Youngevity called the Ultimate Youth. And then there is also a wonderful eye nutrient called Occutiv that Youngevity has, and I recommend that you get on Occutiv. You might want to throw in, of course, the basic nutrients, antioxidant nutrients, which you'll get in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and I would be adding in the Healthy Start Pack to everything else, because not only is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine important for antioxidants, but one of the most important nutrients for the entire nervous system, which includes the eyes and includes the brain, and, by the way, the skin too, are omega-3 essential fatty acids. So when you get your Healthy Start Pack, not only are you going to get your antioxidants from the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but you'll also get, lucky you, omega-3 fatty acids from your Ultimate EFAs. And as if that weren't enough benefits, the connective tissue building benefits from the OsteoFX, which is marketed for bone health, will also help build the connective tissue in the eye and protect the attachments to the retina, so you don't have to worry about things like retinal detachment. So to sum up, Healthy Start Pack for the basic antioxidants and the omega-3s, and the connective tissue building, the Occutiv and the Vision FX, pigments. Make sure that you're using pigments, and then treat yourself like a diabetic. Get on the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack.
Okay. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I recently ordered the Ultimate Daily Classic, and I started with that.
I'll bet you're starting to feel better already. But once you get on all these other supplements, your heart will be better. You'll have more energy. You'll lose weight, and you'll improve eye health to boot.
Sounds good.
Thank you, my friend. Good to talk to you.
God bless you.
God bless you, my friend.
Thank you for the call, Paul. 831-479-1080. If you do happen to have time to call us on a Monday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific time, Ben Fuchs. I don't know if it's daylight time or standard time. Who knows? But 6 p.m. Pacific time, pharmacist Ben Fuchs and I are here to answer your questions. So I did get another text message while we were talking with Paul. But first, low blood pressure. Ben, somebody came into the Dave Cave and says, "Hey, what do I do for low blood pressure?" And I was like, I don't know. High blood pressure, I've heard lots of times. But what about low blood pressure?
A little trickier, huh? Because high blood pressure, we hear about that a lot, but you don't hear about hypotension versus hypertension. The most likely suspect, if you will, and you're going to love this because I talk about this all the time. We just talked about it with Paul. The most likely suspect for hypotension is a blood protein called albumin, or a deficiency in blood albumin.
Okay.
Albumin helps hold fluid in the blood to improve pressure. Albumin deficiency, or what they call hypoalbuminemia, is not all that uncommon, and it's linked to liver issues. And this is where metabolic syndrome comes into play once again. So I would be treating hypotension first and foremost as a liver condition. And whenever you're dealing with liver health, you want to think about metabolic syndrome or blood sugar problems. Now, I talk a lot about metabolic syndrome for good reason, because it is associated with pretty much all chronic degenerative diseases. Anybody out there who's dealing with a chronic degenerative disease, who suspects metabolic syndrome or wants to learn more about metabolic syndrome, Doc Wallach and our good friend Rebecca Dukes just wrote a wonderful book called Metabolic Syndrome. And this book explains metabolic syndrome in a very simple way. It's basically a blood sugar problem. So I would be treating it. I'd be treating hypotension first and foremost as a blood sugar issue, getting on the healthy blood sugar pack. And you're going to hear me repeat myself over and over again. And it's not because I'm a one-trick pony. It's because there are basic building blocks to all diseases.
Right.
And I call that the triangle of disease. And this is why myself and Dr. Wallach and other health professionals are always repeating ourselves, saying the same thing over and over and over again, because all chronic diseases are kind of like fruits on a tree, and all rotten fruits on a tree are due to soil conditions. And it doesn't matter whether the fruit is a banana or it's an apple or a pear or whatever the heck it is. It's all coming from the soil and the roots, and that's where you want to be for chronic disease. So for hypotension, treat yourself like a diabetic, get on the healthy blood sugar pack. And then also, you can build albumin by eating certain foods, protein-rich foods. Albumin is a blood protein. And so things like lean meat and fish and organ meats especially, and eggs are an especially rich source of albumin. One of the many benefits associated with ingestion of eggs is getting that albumin. And then also, you might want to throw in your fatty vitamins as well. So I'd be using the Healthy Start Pack in addition to, or the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, we'll say, because the Healthy Start Pack, of course, is part of the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. And then you might want to throw in some extra nutrients for the blood sugar system. Things like the ultimate niacin can be very important for the blood sugar system, and zinc FX can be important for the blood sugar system. And now that I think about it, for our friend Paul, zinc FX is also very important for the eyes.
Now, Ben, you mentioned the repetitive thing, like you find yourself repeating yourself a lot. But that's actually a great method of training, as people. True. Remember Mr. Miyagi when he tried to teach Daniel-san?
Wash on, wash off.
And he didn't know why he was learning this, but next thing you know, bang, you can, parry these kicks and punches.
That's right.
So the more you hear this, the more you pick up, the more you are ready to start your own business. It's a great way, Ben. This is a great training tool as well as a learning tool.
Yeah, we want to. I noticed that in my many years of doing this, there's a disease that smart people especially suffer from.
What is it?
It's called overthinkitis.
Yes.
We overthink. Listen, remember, the body is programmed. Cells are programmed to heal, to regenerate, to recover, and to repair. And this happens all the time. And you have to look no further than the last time you cut yourself shaving to observe this healing process take place, to kick in. The body wants to be healthy. And so all we have to do is provide some simple basic building blocks. That's what we call the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, and stay away from the bad guys. Now, we have the 10 bad foods, of course, but there's more. It's basically processed foods that don't have a lot of calories compared to the nutrients. We call those junk foods. And even just calories in general put a stress on the body. So the lower your calorie intake, the lower your caloric intake, the longer you're going to live. And not only that, but when you reduce your calories, you spare nutritional resources, because it costs us nutrients to digest our food. So the less you're eating, the more nutrients you have to grow and to repair and to think clearly and to have a good life. And the question becomes, do I want to have a great life and a strong immune system and be growing and repairing my tissues, or do I want to be digesting my food? I mean, really, come on, folks. And then when you're focusing on your nutrition, you have to focus on micronutrients, and that's where we come in. Your longevity, your healthy start pack, and the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. That gives you the vitamins and the minerals and the amino acids and the fatty acids. We call those the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, or the 90 for life, some people say. And then also the macronutrients, the proteins and the good fats, not the bad fats, because they're horrible, and there's a major link between the ingestion of these bad fats, fried fats and processed fats, and disease. So the good fats, like coconut oil and eggs and organ meats and avocados, and then good quality carbohydrates. Carbs get a bad rap, but good quality carbohydrates that come from fruits and vegetables, particularly vegetables, are also very important, especially carbohydrates that are called polysaccharides. And we can talk about that. We should probably talk about that on another episode. They're very, very important, polysaccharides as well.
Ben, I have a question here. This one was texted to me about peripheral neuropathy. They're non-diabetic. But before we get to that, I think that would be a good way to end the show. Maybe right now we should discuss a little bit about the brain and heart pack before we lose track of it.
Yes.
So the brain and heart pack, for those people who don't know, now you can, at the end of the show, you're going to hear a message to tell you where to go so you can check out these products. But the basic, all of these packs start off with the Healthy Start Pack.
That's really important. The Healthy Start Pack is the core. We call it the hub and spoke model, where nutrition is like a wheel, and the hub, or the center of the wheel, is, like you said, Dave, the Healthy Start Pack. And then there are spokes off of that hub for specific health challenges or health conditions, or just plain old needs. And the core of it, though, like you say, is the Healthy Start Pack, and that's the hub. And that features 3 products, which we talked about last week, or 2 weeks ago maybe. That is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which in my mind is the most important and most fundamental and most nutrient-dense nutritional supplement you could ever use. It's a powder. You put it in liquid and you drink it, and that allows you to get the maximum absorption, even if you have digestive problems, in addition to nutrient density. There are some folks who like the tablets. I don't know if you ever use the Beyond Tangy
I try to recommend the powder, though.
The powder is much better, yes, in my opinion. And then, of course, the Ultimate EFAs. They come in there, and we talked about EFAs last week. And then the OsteoFX, which I know I said this last week, but I want to say this again because it's so important. It's marketed for bones. Osteo means bones. But it's important for your skin. It's important for your fascia that holds all your organs in place. It's important for ligaments and for tendons, for folks who are dealing with sprained ankles and ligament tears and such. And it's also, this is really important, what I'm going to say here, important for pre- and post-surgery. There is so much you could do, not only to speed up recovery from surgery, but to get better results from your surgery. 70 to 80% of surgical procedures result in scar tissue and adhesions. And these adhesions and scar tissue can cause health problems years after your surgery. And they can cause problems with how organs work. If you have, for example, a hysterectomy done, you can end up with abdominal problems for women who have a hysterectomy. You can end up with digestive problems due to the abdominal scar tissue that's formed after you have a hysterectomy. So using the OsteoFX is way more important for just the bone, but of course it is also important for the bone, and that's the Healthy Start Pack.
Right.
And then we have products that function as spokes off the Healthy Start Pack, and in terms of the brain and heart pack, the spokes, if you will, are the Ultimate Selenium, and that is an important antioxidant that helps protect the brain against free radicals and helps you make certain kinds of proteins that are also important for brain health. And selenium, like all nutrients, is also multifunctional. Selenium is very important for the thyroid. Selenium is very important for the blood sugar system. Selenium is very important for the liver, and you can also use selenium to support immune health, particularly if you're dealing with cold sores and shingles. And sometimes I wonder, there's these commercials for everybody to use the shingles vaccine. They scare you into this. They go, you may be healthy, but shingles doesn't care. Do you ever see that commercial?
Yeah.
They scare you into thinking, oh, I'm fine. Because most people will say, I'm healthy. But they go, shingles doesn't care. I love those little
That's good advertising angle, that's for sure.
Yeah, I almost wanted to get I almost felt like, because shingles doesn't care. So, but selenium, is very important for viruses, like the virus that causes shingles, like the virus that causes cold sores. And I always recommend the Ultimate Selenium for people who get cold sores. And that virus that causes cold sores is similar to the virus that causes shingles. And of course, without mentioning any names of any particular viruses, if you know what I'm talking about, the Ultimate Selenium also supports the immune system against viral infections that can cause respiratory health issues, let's say, or other conditions that you may need to lock yourself in the house for.
Yeah, if Dr. Wallach always calls the Brain and Heart Pack the heavy hammer. And I mean, there's so much nutrition in there and so many good things in the Brain and Heart Pack. It's
so
amazing.
Many good things. The Ultimate EFA, Ultimate Selenium, Beyond Osteo. Oh, yeah, and you get two different fatty acid, two different EFA products, the Ultimate EFA Plus and the Ultimate EFA. And then, of course, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
And again, listen up at the end of the podcast. We will tell you where you can pick up these fantastic products that Pharmacist Ben and I highly recommend. So our text question, Ben, and then we will wrap it up here, is about...
It goes by so fast.
I know, Ben. It's crazy. It's when you have fun, Ben, and this is fun, dude. This hanging out with you.
It is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and working with people, helping people get better. It's all fun.
And
it's all
now
good.
that you mention it, if anybody out there wants to get involved, call us, give us a ring, give us a shout. Get involved with longevity. You can make some money. You could help people. You could be part of a community of like-minded folks that like helping people, that like chemistry, nutrition, and health. And so we would love to give us a call. Tell folks how they can get a hold of us.
Oh, we'll post that information at the end of the podcast, Ben, and it'll have everything nice and easy to understand. So let's get to this text message here.
Yes, sir.
It's about peripheral neuropathy. They are not diabetic,
though. Yes, they are. They don't know they are. They say, well, here's the thing about diabetes, Dave.
Okay.
Diabetes is based on the diagnosis, I should say, of diabetes is based on a threshold. It's based on a number. You have to have the number 120. A test score will say 120. Technically, it's 120 milligrams of sugar per deciliter of blood. Don't worry about that. It's just 120. Okay? If your number is 120, you're diabetic. But Dave, if your number is 119.999999999, you're not a diabetic.
Yeah,
but as soon as you go 0.000001 over, you're diabetic. That's stupidity.
Okay, I get it.
That's crazy. So don't worry about whether they said, "Oh, your blood sugar's normal. Oh, you have normal thyroid levels. Oh, your BMR, your bone mineral density, whatever. It's normal." There's no normal. If you're symptomatic, there's a problem. If you have peripheral neuropathy, it doesn't matter whether you've been diagnosed with a blood sugar issue, you got one. And in the year 2025, it's almost impossible not to have a blood sugar problem if you're a normal, standard American eating the normal, standard American diet. It's not possible because our food is so rich in carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, and sugars, and it's so deficient in nutrients to help the body process that sugar that it's impossible not to have blood sugar disruptions, or what I call dysglycemia. Remember, dys means messed up, glyce is sugar, emia is blood. Not to have some degree of dysglycemia, which is going to impact tissue. And one of the ways it impacts tissue is by sugaring, by browning. Do you know that as we age, even under best of conditions, we brown? I don't know if you eat lamb or mutton.
Lamb's great.
Yeah, you ever have mutton? You know what mutton is? Like mutton soup, and it's
no,
like
I don't think so.
It's older lamb.
Okay.
It's very tough.
Ew.
And you have to put it in liquid, make stew out of it in order to soften it up. And it's cheap. It's not really that expensive.
Okay.
But baby lamb is very, very expensive. Baby lamb is healthy. Young animals like veal or baby lambs, those are much tastier to eat. As the animal gets older, it becomes tougher and more fibery. And that toughness, that toughness and that fiberiness of meat also happens in human beings. We get tougher and more fibery. And that toughness and fiberiness and the browning that happens to us as we age, our tissue gets browner as we age, is the end result of a reaction between sugar and protein. That reaction is called glycation. Perhaps you've heard of that term. If you're diabetic, you have to go to the doctor every few months and get something called a glycation test to see how fast you're glycating. I call it browning, to see how fast you're browning. Peripheral neuropathy is just that. it's and there could be other things sometimes too, but for the most part, it's a glycation issue. And so you want to, again, I've said like 5 times already today, treat yourself like a diabetic. Peripheral neuropathy is a sign of glycation, whether or not your blood sugar is normal. I'm doing air quotes here, is normal. So treat yourself like you have dysglycemia, regardless of whether you've been diagnosed as a diabetic. Now, in addition to the healthy blood sugar pack and maybe throwing some ultimate selenium and some ultimate niacin, which are important for blood sugar, the zinc FX, as we mentioned, that's also important for blood sugar. There is a wonderful, wonderful vitamin. And I want to talk about this on one of our podcasts for a long time.
Okay.
We're running out of time here. And this vitamin was discovered when it was noticed that when people didn't get this vitamin, guess what they suffered from? Peripheral neuropathy.
Wow.
And this vitamin was actually discovered in relationship to its ability to treat peripheral neuropathy. And this vitamin is found in high concentrations in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And this vitamin is so, so, so important, not just for the blood sugar system, but for the heart and for the brain and also for the digestive tract, particularly to help treat chronic long-term constipation, believe it or not. And this vitamin is found in high concentrations in Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So make sure you're using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And when you're using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, personally, I think you agree with this, Dave, use it throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Instead of trying to do it all at once, your body will kind of excrete what it doesn't use if you use it all at once. If you do it throughout the day, you get what's called a divided dose. And in pharmacy, we always tell people divided doses are always the best way to take your medicine because the body can then absorb what it needs in a more long-term fashion. And the same thing is true about nutrition. You always want your nutrients in divided doses. And, of course, the ultimate way to get a divided dose of nutrients is to drink it all day long. You get a divided dose that is extended for a 12 or 18 or however long your hour period.
So for our friend that is suffering from peripheral neuropathy, we would suggest what?
Healthy blood sugar pack.
Healthy blood sugar
And then
pack.
throw in the ultimate selenium, the zinc FX, and then perhaps the ultimate niacin as well. I know we talked about this last week, but just to repeat, repetition is reinforcement, as you said, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
The niacin is one of the most important nutrients you could take for blood sugar. It helps build something called the glucose tolerance factor, which is a molecule that the body uses to support blood sugar control, and niacin is a key component of that glucose tolerance factor, or GTF.
Somebody was asking me, we have 2 minutes, Ben, a little bit over, about niacin and flushing.
Yeah, the niacin flush.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because it feels funny, but it's a good thing because it actually is very important for circulatory health and for lowering blood fats and cholesterol, and that's another one of niacin's most famous and most well-known properties. It helps with the fat. It helps with fat metabolism. Helps the body use fat. You can use it to treat cellulite, for example. Any kind of fat metabolism issue, you might want to consider using niacin. But the form of niacin that is no flush is called niacinamide. And so if you have a flushing problem, you can use that. Also, the ultimate EFAs over the course of time, because of their anti-inflammatory effects, remember your ultimate EFAs are nature's aspirin, taking the ultimate EFAs over time will reduce the likelihood of your likelihood of getting the niacin flush.
Wow, Ben.
And then also the niacin flush, after you've been using niacin for a while, you don't get it as much. But you can do niacinamide, or you can make sure you're using your EFAs, and then over the course of time, you're less and less likely to get the niacin flush.
Ben Fuchs, I am always excited to work with you. Today is no exception.
Thank
Today
you,
was
Dave,
a great
Michael.
show, very information-packed, very densely packed with information, Ben, this podcast.
Hey, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4.6 or Isaiah 4:6.
If you say so, Ben.
My people perish for lack of knowledge. That's really the biggest problem we have, is we don't get quality information. That's what we do here on the Mineral Way podcast, and that's what we do as part of the Longevity family. We give you good, honest, helpful information that is going to, if you do it right and you take advantage of what we say, it's going to change your life.
That's right, Ben. There's always a better way than medicine and drugs, and that is the mineral
way.
Yeah, Ben, I like it. All right, Ben Fuchs, I will see you next week, sir.
Thank you, Dave.
Have
Take
a
care.
good one.
Bye.